Hey, what's up guys? Vic Christoph here with PhoneArena, and it's time for another video comparison, this time between this new Samsung Galaxy S10e and then on the other hand we have the Apple iPhone XR, and we're starting with the front camera. The Galaxy S10e has the ability to record in 4K with the front camera first, so that's a nice thing, while the footage from the iPhone will be scaled up to 4K. And let me know if you can see any difference in terms of sharpness and detail. And now we'll switch to 1080p resolution on the Galaxy as well with the front camera. So right now we're recording in 1080p with the front cameras on both phones. Let me know if there's a difference between the 4K video recording on the Galaxy S10e and the 1080p option. And let's also test the video stabilization. So let's walk a little bit faster. Now let's run. Okay, so let me know if you can see some difference in the quality of the video. Next up, we'll test the video recording from the rear camera. So we start with 4K 30 video recording on both phones, and you should be able to see some differences in the way these two render colors. But most importantly, let's see how they do in terms of video stabilization with the rear cameras. Both phones are handheld, no gimbals, no extra devices. So let's run now. A little exercise always helps. And now we're walking. So right now we're recording in 1080p, and the reason for this is because the Galaxy S10e has a new super steady, super smooth video recording option in 1080p, and we've enabled that. So compare the video stabilization with this option turned on. So let's walk faster and let's climb that hill running. Okay, let me know if you see any differences in terms of video stabilization. Now, this is the main camera on the Galaxy S10e, but you have another one, the ultra-wide one, which gives you a different and more interesting perspective. So let's switch to that right now. And boom, that's the ultra-wide angle camera. You can see that you get a very interesting perspective here, a shot that is simply impossible to take with the main camera on this phone. But you have the ultra-wide angle one, very interesting. And here's the same shot with the main camera on the iPhone XR, the main and the only one, because you don't have an ultra-wide angle one on the iPhone, and the shot simply doesn't look that interesting without that ultra-wide angle perspective. And for this next shot we'll be testing continuous autofocus using this gray card. Pretty fast. You can see a very smooth focus transition here. It's not just an instantaneous snap, it's a very smooth transition. The iPhone XR seems to be doing a good job. And now we'll be testing the same thing, continuous autofocus, using the gray card with the Galaxy S10e. Seems to have a little bit of a problem here. Let's do it once again. Snaps instantly, snaps quickly. You can see that the transition here is not as smooth, but faster rather. It's very fast. Alright guys, and it's now time to take a look at the low light capabilities of both these phones. And we have again the Galaxy S10e on the left and the iPhone XR on the right, and you can see some differences mostly in the exposure and the colors. You can see that the Galaxy S10e has the more lively, more saturated colors, while the iPhone XR, the colors on it are a bit bleaker, but I would argue that they're actually a bit more realistic. So take a closer look, see the differences, and let us know what you think. Okay guys, so now we're back to the studio, and you have already seen the videos from these two phones, and you have probably already seen that I do social dancing in my free time. It's a really nice hobby and a little detail about me. But now let's take a look at the camera specs before we actually look at the photos. So here on the iPhone XR you have a single camera, 12 megapixel f1.8 shooter with a 26mm focal distance, while on the Galaxy S10e you have a dual camera system with a main camera and an ultra wide angle shooter. So the main camera here is again 26mm, and the ultra wide is the equivalent of 12mm. This is seriously wide and gives you some freedom to shoot some very interesting shots, but we'll take a look at this in a second. And here up front you have again a single front camera, a 7 megapixel camera on the iPhone, and here you have a 10 megapixel single camera on the Galaxy. So we'll be taking a look at the photos, comparing the colors, the details, and a lot more. So let's get started. So let's kick things off with the front cameras with a selfie, and you can see again the difference in colors and a slight difference in exposure. And here we have portrait mode. You see the difference in the way these separate the object, and if you zoom up close you see that the Galaxy did a slightly worse job. Neither is perfect, but the iPhone did slightly better in this shot. Again, another selfie here. You can see the brighter, more cheerful colors on the Galaxy. And now let's jump to a portrait shot, and again this is a more difficult situation, so both phones have more difficulties, and if you zoom up close you'll see that neither is doing great, but again the Galaxy has a bit more trouble separating me properly from the background. And this is a low light selfie, and again you see here that the Galaxy S10e is very smudged out in terms of detail, while the iPhone is more noisy but has a little bit more detail. And here's a portrait shot of the same situation. You can see the same things here. And now let's switch to portrait mode, and this is a picture at night, and the iPhone had a hard time actually getting this picture, but both are doing a similarly good job with some differences. So right now let's jump to the main cameras, and here you see the bigger differences in colors and mostly in the greens. You can see the more saturated greens on the Galaxy S10e. They look a bit bleaker on the iPhone. Again, same thing here towards the bottom of the picture, and you see the skies are also brighter on the iPhone in this particular example. And once again, this picture illustrates the greens. They're so different between these two phones, but otherwise no huge differences. Take a look at a few more shots here. Here you can see the greens are slightly bleaker on the iPhone. Again, the sky is slightly more blue, and basically those are the main differences. There are slight differences in exposure as well, as you can see on this picture, but both images look really good. Now here in this picture, if you zoom up close, you'll notice something interesting. See those halos around the tree branches? That's over sharpening halos on the Galaxy S10e, and you don't have them on the iPhone XR, which is a good thing. Switching over to nighttime low light photography with the main camera, you zoom up close here, you notice that the iPhone XR has a lot more noise, but you also see less motion blur here, so pick your poison, I guess. And next up, another low light photo here of the street. You can see the difference in colors, the more saturated, slightly more yellowish colors on the S10e. And if you zoom up close again, you see slightly more noise on the iPhone XR, while the S10e controls it and smooths it out a bit. Next up, the neon signs. These are always a challenge for nighttime photography, and you see the iPhone has a bit of trouble with that bright sign on the left side of the picture. And in this picture, the things are in reverse. You have the iPhone taking a better photo while the sign on the Galaxy is burned out. And here again, similar job. Both do a good job at low light, but neither quite matches the Pixel 3 in terms of a dynamic range. Here again you can see a comparison. Take a closer look for the differences. Here the Galaxy captures a slightly brighter photo, and here there is the trick of the Galaxy. You have that ultra wide camera, which gives you that very interesting perspective. Here the shot with the main camera just doesn't look that interesting. Again, one more shot with the main camera and the ultra wide. This looks very good. This is one of the main advantages with the Galaxy S10e. We really appreciate this camera. Okay guys, we've seen the photos, we've seen the videos, it's time to draw some conclusions. And which one takes the better pictures and shoots the better videos? It's really hard to tell because these two are so similar in terms of camera quality. There are some differences though, mostly in the colors, as the Galaxy shoots more saturated colors while the iPhone tends to prefer more natural tonalities. And again, the big difference for me personally was that ultra wide camera that you will not always use, but when you use it, it makes a big difference and some very impressive shots, both for photos and for videos. And nighttime photography, again, not a big difference, slightly more noise on the iPhone, while the Galaxy tends to smoothen it out a bit. The focus is fast on both phones, and these are great phones for both video recording and photographic recording. So overall, no big differences, but there are some nuances. So that's it guys, this wraps up our comparison between the iPhone XR and the Samsung Galaxy S10e, two great cameras for photos and videos. Which one do you prefer? Let us know in the comments. Also let us know how can we improve this test, and also tell us which cameras do you want to see us test next. If you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, this really helps, and also subscribe to our channel to see more. My name is Vic Christoph, I'm signing off, and I'll talk to you next time right here on PhoneArena.